getting you up and getting your sports day started. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Take you around the Big 12 a little bit. Lots of folks gathered outside of Jones Stadium on Saturday prior to the 3 o'clock kickoff watching the end of Alabama and Texas. It appeared for a moment that Texas was going to pull off the big upset. Their field goal kicker with the last name of Auburn kicked a field goal to put them ahead. But Alabama came back and got one of their own and won 20-19. Does this mean that Texas is better than we thought, or is this Alabama's sluggish, or is there a little bit of both?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I definitely think that you have to give the Longhorns some credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to think that Bama, kind of probably points the finger at themselves a little bit, too. They look pretty undisciplined and off in that game as well.
Quinn Ewers goes down with a shoulder injury. He's out for a number of weeks. Hudson Card in relief, 14 of 22, 158. So Quinn Ewers will not be here next week when the Red Raiders take on Texas. And we could find out today a time for that. I hope I'm wrong. I just kind of have a feeling that's an 11 a.m. game.
I don't have a feeling.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's just my feeling.
This comes from
just my gut. Okay.
Okay.
And I hope I'm as wrong as I was about Saturday's outcome. Oklahoma, no problems with Kent State, 33-3. How about Baylor and BYU? 2 overtimes. BYU takes them down despite being down a couple of their receivers as they beat the number 9 Bears 26-20 in 2 OTs.
Yeah, fun game to watch. That was entertaining. Way to go, BYU.
Yeah, no, I'm all about that. Oklahoma State, little to no problems with Arizona State. Cowboys ranked number 11, win 34-17. Texas Tech now receiving votes in the latest AP poll. Jamie got 17. Okay, so
respect.
Not in the
Don't win
top. On
Saturday, you'll be in the top 25.
Yeah, you probably. That's it. Yeah, exactly. You beat a top 25 team 2 weeks in a row, you'll be in the top 25. K-State, no problem with Missouri, 40-12. That game was delayed numerous times because of lightning and storms and things like that. How about Iowa State? They win over Iowa 10-7. I think you said, is this going to be another 9-7 game between these two teams?
Gosh, how boring.
Yeah.
Good win for Iowa State, though.
Kansas winning in overtime over West Virginia 55-42. The Jayhawks led 49-42 and then got a pick 6, and they went ahead and ran it in, which
was fun to watch the Kansas sideline all telling the guy to go down, and he just keeps running. I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't be going down either.
Right.
I would have taken it back to the house,
Sure.
too. That was truly a fun game to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that game after Tech was over. That was a lot of fun. Kansas definitely looks improved, and oh boy, West Virginia just couldn't stop beating themselves over and over again. And again, that's not to take anything away from Kansas. I came away impressed with them, but not impressed like they're going to challenge for the championship.
Sure.
But impressed as in they're not.
They've got more than a pulse.
They're not number 14 in the Big 12 rankings anymore. They might just be 10, okay? But actually they might be 9 because they just beat West Virginia on the road. So that I don't know how Neil Brown's team just looked like they didn't show up at all.
I think he's in big trouble.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get let go this weekend.
Yeah, me too. West Virginia got out to a 14-0 lead. Kansas 21 in the second to take a lead. Well, they were down 28-21 at the half, and then they got 14 in the.
KU was up 11, halfway through the fourth quarter and should have put the game away. And all the West Virginia fans gave up. They left, and KU, found a way to let West Virginia come back and tie it.
It's the KU way.
Boy, it was fun. It was a fun game to watch, though.
I think I saw, because by the time I got to the Overton for the post game, and I looked down at my phone and kind of where they were in overtime. The only play I think I saw was the pick 6. Just happened to catch it. TCU with no problems over Tarleton, winning 59-17. So, I guess maybe what we learned is Baylor not as good as we thought. is.
I don't know that I'm ready to say that I learned that.
Okay.
Just because I'm, is BYU good?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe BYU's good. It's on the road. I mean, who knows?
UTSA won at Army. We talked about.
Barely.
Yeah. But
is that to feel good about or bad about?
I think anytime.
I feel less about UTSA barely winning at Army.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So that means I feel less about Houston, which means I feel a little bit less about Tech.
Boy, it sure had a weird feel in the stadium on Saturday. There wasn't the energy in the stadium that there was for week 1. It was warm. I'll say that it was hot for everybody for a good part of the ball game, and then and I will say this for the students, the ones that are down and to the left of me, there was still a really good crowd at the end of the game. It wasn't packed, but there was still a really good crowd at the end of the game. I mean, it was people stayed.
Listening to the second and third quarter. No, I guess just the entire second quarter on the radio, and Brian Jensen was really frustrated with the student section.
Yeah, and I thought a little bit. I thought some of that was unfair, just based on what I was observing in front of me.
Okay.
I thought some of that was unfair. I've seen more leave sooner than I saw Saturday, and because when we got to
so just comparatively speaking towards others, they weren't as bad. They didn't leave as much, or they just they left a lot left.
No, I don't think a lot left. At least in where I was. Okay, where I was down and to the left of me, I thought it was still a really good crowd, even at second overtime for the students, based on the last few years. Okay, in similar situations.
Okay, comparatively speaking,
I thought it was much improved actually. So I thought that was a bit unfair. When we got to the stadium, the student section on the east side below us was already full. They were already turning students away and telling them to go either the north end or the south end. Now, there were big patches that was empty at the stadium. The announced crowd, somebody wants to know what was the announced attendance. 56,271 was the tickets sold. And so I'd heard that they were just a couple thousand away from a sellout, so that makes sense based on what you'd seen going into the game.
With regards to the student section, I was coming back in right around halftime, and there was I don't want to say a mass exodus, but a definite medium exit with a bunch of student fans. And when I was asking them, guys, this is a pretty good game, they're like, it is so hot.
It was warm.
Kind of the general consensus I got from everybody on the way back.
Yeah, it was warm.
You were asking the students?
I was like, guys, the game's that way. You're going the wrong way.
And nobody gave you a one-finger salute or a forearm shiver?
No, I got the so hot kind of look and comment from everyone on the way back.
It was warm. Somebody says I was at the game. The student section was great. Facts.
Okay, yeah. All right. And somebody else says that somebody else agreeing with you too. So yeah, I was not there, so I got to say
it was improved. Okay, it was improved, and I think it was by townies too. It was improved. It wasn't. I did talk to a guy yesterday who he had to do the walk of shame. A buddy of mine. After Houston took the lead there in the fourth quarter, he'd got up and said he'd seen enough, and he and his wife left, and he went to the concourse, and then Trey Wolf kicks the field goal to tie it up, and he had to go back to his seats, and his son wore him out for leaving and giving up. So I said, you had to do a little walk of shame, huh? He said, yeah. Then they stayed till the good end, Jamie. 6:40 on the morning drive. I don't agree with Chuck often, but I agree that the student section was much improved. I was impressed. Okay. See, so it's the ones that don't agree with me, usually when they have to swallow that a little bit and admit that, then I know that I'm really right.
That's the agree of shame.
The agree of shame, yes. This Day in Sports History is next.
Big plays and even bigger laughs. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is September the 12th, 2022. Here is Jeff McGuire.
Going to start us off in 1922 because official Morning Drive marathoner Paavo Nurmi runs a world record 5,000 meter, 14 minutes, 35.4 seconds.
If he wasn't so successful, I would be like, why do you keep bringing up his name? But man, he's unbelievable.
Yeah. Dude is killing it.
Again, this is why we keep bringing him up and why he is the official marathon runner of the Morning Drive.
I know. It's awesome.
1930, Brooklyn catcher Al Lopez hits the Major League's last recorded bounce home run. I'm guessing this is very quickly followed by the ground rule double, or a book rule double, excuse me.
So they would have had to have changed the rule at some point. Yeah, I guess so.
Wow. I didn't even know such a thing existed.
I didn't either. I did not either. So it used to be if it bounced over the wall, that was a home run.
Well, because the ball went over the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would be the concept. But then they said, nah, that didn't work right.
That's a bad deal there.
It's because the ground's hard. It didn't rain in Brooklyn or wherever.
1954, White Sox win their 90th game of the season. It was the first time they would have that many wins since 1920. That's my team, guys. 1976, Seattle Seahawks play their first regular season game, falling to St. Louis 30-24. 1979, Carl Yastrzemski hits his 3,000th Major League hit. 1984, New York Met Dwight Gooden sets a rookie strikeout record of 251. That's a lot. Guys, when I say the name Paul Molitor, what do you think of?
Very basic batting stance. Just a really consistent.
I'd said solid in my head.
Yeah, consistent, like 320 hitter, nothing spectacular. More of a singles guy than a power guy. So he was never just loved or was never a superstar. But
if you needed a hit, he could get one.
Yeah.
On this day in 1993, at 37, he becomes the oldest player to reach 100 RBI for the first time in his career.
Yeah, see, I mean, not a big run producer. Yeah.
1995, quite possibly the longest win streak in professional basketball history is snapped. The Harlem Globetrotters' 8,829 game win streak is snapped by Kareem's All-Stars 91-85.
I finally played somebody.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 48, scored 34 points.
Of course he did.
Yeah. I do think that is the longest streak, Jeff. Yeah. 8,000 games?
Yes.
Yeah.
1999, U.S. men's tennis. Andre Agassi wins his second and final U.S. title, beats fellow American Todd Martin 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2.
Let's go, Andre.
And in 2011, U.S. men's tennis. Novak Djokovic wins his first U.S. title, beats Rafa Nadal 6-2, 6-4, 6-7, 6-1.
Yeah, you could have left that out.
It is National Chocolate Milkshake Day.
Lucky lady, big fan of the chocolate milkshake. I don't know that I've ever had one.
What?
I would prefer a strawberry or something else.
You've had a chocolate malt, though. You've never had a chocolate malt.
I don't really like the malt.
I thought we were talking about milkshakes.
I don't like the malt.
The milkshake and the malt it adds powder, and that's the difference.
Yeah, you add the powder, but it gives
different.
Yeah.
So why'd we flip? I mean, we were talking about milkshakes.
Well, no, we aren't. Well, it's the chocolate aspect of it.
I also prefer vanilla or strawberry to a chocolate milkshake, but I have in fact had a chocolate milkshake before.
I couldn't tell you the last one I had.
That is maybe the boldest statement that you've ever made, to say that I've never tried a chocolate milkshake.
I don't think I've ever had one. I think I've always gone Oppo.
But just a couple seconds ago, you said, I can't tell you the last time I had one.
No, I
which
can't.
Insinuates that you've had one before.
Well, I don't think I've ever had one. I really don't. I think in the
You've
history...
never tried a chocolate milkshake.
Oh, I'm... Well,
that's That's amazing. That is
I don't think I've
amazing.
ever had a full chocolate milkshake.
Okay.
A couple.
I wasn't there, so that's really amazing.
You don't want to be. You're not really around me, but you spend enough time with me here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna follow you around. That's just not what I do.
Right. Got it.
A couple of birthdays I missed from over the weekend.
Okay.
That I definitely should have gotten to. Both of them on Saturday. Happy birthday, former Texas Tech offensive lineman Brandon Carter. Turned 36.
Wow.
And somebody that knows Chuck pretty well turned 28.
Man, of course I met Chuck. That's my guy.
I saw that. I saw that it was his birthday. I wished him happy birthday.
So I feel bad that I didn't get those out.
Okay.
That's a party foul on my part. Happy birthday today to Jennifer Hudson, who's 41, Freddie Freeman, 33, Andrew Luck, 33, Yao Ming, 43, and Vernon Maxwell, 58.
Yao Ming, just 43. Seems like he should be older than that.
He just felt like he was old when he was playing in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And on this day in 1988, Hurricane Gilbert slams into Jamaica, killing hundreds of people. The storm went on to cause death and destruction in Mexico and spur a batch of tornadoes here in the state of Texas, with wind speeds reaching 175 miles per hour. The Category 5 hurricane devastated Jamaica, 40-mile wide eye. As it crossed the island, hurricane covered the entire island. The tin roofs that covered most homes there were no match for the winds. About 80% of the country island's homes were seriously damaged, and approximately 500,000 people of the country's 2 million people were left homeless. Nearly every home on the island lost electricity. Worst of all, 200 people lost their lives. And that is this day in sports history.
All right. 6:52 this morning here on the morning drive. Let's see here. Somebody says this. Gone Oppo, title of Chuck's autobiography. I hadn't really thought about that. Let's see here. Pepsi Man weighs in. Good morning, guys, from Lubbock, Texas. Home sweet home. What a great win for the Red Raiders this weekend. Hey, Chuck, I'm going to bring you a chocolate shake for the Longhorn game. Okay. Okay. People are calling foul on that. Somebody wants to know what's your beef with Novak, JL?
Arrogance, but mostly he disrespected Federer.
Okay.
So that's why pretty much everybody in the tennis world doesn't like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's out.
Yeah, but extremely arrogant guy.
6:53 this morning here on the morning drive. We'll have high school fan zone tonight. Coaches from Estacado and Coronado, they will not be happy. Coronado, and they put up a heck of a fight at Wichita Falls Rider the other night.
They did.
Got close, but did not win. They led for a lot of that game, but could not close it out. They end up losing 28-24 to Rider, and then Estacado lost to Paladuro 31-20 at home. So that's not happy either.
Mm-mm.
Friendship with a victory over Monterey.
Does that mean that Clint Scott is 0 for 3 in play-by-play this year?
Oh, is that right?
Man. I think he did
Maybe.
Monterey, then Coronado, and now Estacado.
Now Estacado, he's a kiss of death, then, isn't he? Well, so if you see Clint Scott coming your way.
So who do you want to send him to next?
Friendship with a big win. They took down Monterey 39-26, and Lubbock Cooper with a win as well. They won at Wiley on Friday night. So congratulations to the Cooper Pirates. They won 33-28. We'll have high school football on Friday night as well. So Flyover Guy says this: 1,000 shames upon you, Chuck, for never having a chocolate milkshake.
You like chocolate, right?
Yeah,
So it seems like you would have tried it at some point.
I
like milkshake.
I might
This
have
vanilla
had-
milkshake is good. I love chocolate bars. I'll try chocolate milkshake.
I don't think
Never-
I've really.
This vanilla is good. I'm not going to try anything else. I mean,
like
that sounds like Jamie there.
I like a vanilla milkshake with real strawberries in it.
I prefer strawberry. Strawberry is my favorite.
Yeah, if you had to ask me, I'd take a strawberry milkshake that over pretty much anything.
I'd even take the Oreo one over regular chocolate.
Yes, yes, I'm with you on that.
I will take a death by chocolate milkshake right now.
All right, just before 7, when you get to the Cowboys, we'll do that. We'll talk more Red Raiders. Don't have to.
Can't we just talk about Houston? That's a much better game to talk about.
Most likely.
The one that they tied?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. That was...
Flew a lead.
I wanted to throw a screwdriver through my TV to get to the Cardinals and Chiefs game, but...
I was thinking about you at that point.
Oh, my God. It just made me so mad.
Getting you up and getting your sports day started. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
It's nice to have you with us this morning. You can participate, like many have already, on the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. We've been talking pretty much exclusively about the Red Raiders and their double overtime win over Houston on Saturday. Texas Tech will take on North Carolina State this coming Saturday, week 3 of the football season. Then next at home on the 24th of September. It'll be a week from Saturday against Texas, team that lost to number 1 Oklahoma on Saturday, 21-19. Man, how about the Aggies losing to Appalachian State? Boy, oh boy.
That's a shocker.
I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and he said that really it should have been worse. Appy State should have won by a couple of touchdowns.
Oof.
Yeah, it was just awful. Mm-hmm. You know, all that talk about Jimbo Fisher, hey, never say never, West Virginia's home. I wonder if somebody down in College Station pull out their checkbook this morning and write him a big old fat check, because there may be an opening with Neil Brown and West Virginia losing to Kansas. Might have his opportunity, right?
I would have thought if West Virginia was going to make that move, they would have made it already.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
so
I agree.
At least after this week, I don't think there's an opening, and I don't think the Aggies are going to bail on Jimbo Fisher after one bad loss.
No, probably not, but that was a really bad one.
It was.
That'd be a really big check to write to.
Yes, it would. It would. How about Marshall with former Tech quarterback Henry Colombi going into Notre Dame and winning there?
Yeah, that's obviously massive.
Massive.
That was pretty cool.
And picking up a check, too, right?
And picking up a check. Appy State's check at A&M was $1.5 million.
It's a good chunk of change.
That's a good chunk of change, plus a win. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall's plane, there was a problem with it, which, mechanically speaking, I mean, you would think that they'd be extremely cautious, and they were. They had to go back to their hotel. Their hotel was sold out. So guys were like sleeping in the hallway and in conference rooms and things like that. Then they had a early wake-up call. I think they finally left about 4:30 in the morning, and then landed and then had to drive a couple hours home.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
much easier to do after a win, though.
Yeah.
Much easier to do.
Yeah. So
that stinks.
No doubt about it.
I see Nebraska. I think $15 million they had to pay Scott Frost to go away.
Yeah, and it would have gone down by a couple of million if they'd have waited. It was Appalachian State that had the problem with the travel. It wasn't Marshall. It was Appalachian State.
App State.
Okay. But yeah, and I correct myself there real quick. With regard to Scott Frost, I guess they just decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and just cut our losses now. I mean, the way that they've lost this year, and he was already on the hot seat coming in, I guess they just could not wait until October 1 to save themselves a couple of $1 million. But that just tells you how much money Nebraska has.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. No question. No question about it.
They knew their fan base would have lost their mind. They didn't make that move. Just like Kirby Hocutt and the administration here at Tech last year knew that the fan base had given up, and they weren't going to show up unless Matt Wells was relieved of his duties when he was.
And Scott Frost was one of their own, too. He led Nebraska to a national championship as a quarterback.
You mean 2? Matt Wells wasn't one of our own.
No, I was thinking about Cliff. I was thinking about Coach Kingsbury.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was thinking about, was Coach Kingsbury's, Sorry. Sometimes I have these thoughts in my head, in my brain.
Yeah.
And I think I've communicated them. Yeah. And I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been doing that at home here lately, going, I told you about that. No, you didn't. I'm like, well, I told you about that in my mind.
and I think most of us did know that Scott Frost played quarterback at Nebraska.
Okay. I was just trying to tie a big old bow on that.
He was pretty good, too. And safety for the Jets also.
Yeah. 7:19 this morning here on the morning drive. So apparently Mark Stoops is a candidate. So is Matt Campbell, of course, Iowa State coach. If he's going to get out, probably now's the time to get out. But I don't know if either one of those guys would be just.
They can take the job now.
They can't take the. They cannot.
Today's college football.
They cannot take the job.
Can he go coach them this week?
Cannot take the job today. No.
I mean, he could.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nebraska could write that check, and Iowa State would figure it out, and they would welcome him the buyout from the contract, and the rest of the Big 12 would go, finally.
Yeah, no surprise, though, that Scott Frost was the first one fired.
No, he just...
Felt like that was coming all off season.
The two that I think most of us wondered about, feeling like if there was a hiccup, was Nebraska and West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska made their move. West Virginia said, we'll sit it or wait it out a little bit.
Yeah, they still owe Neil Brown quite a bit of money.
And so maybe that's the decision. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Josh. Has Tech impressed, or was this start expected? I'll say this. I mean, I was a guy that had this penciled in as a loss, so I predicted a loss. I felt like that if you won this game, it would propel me to think that you're going to get bowl eligible. I think many thought that in order for Tech to get bowl eligible, that this was a game that you had to have. So some might say this was expected. Some like me would say, okay, I think that's an extra win that I didn't have us getting.
I had you winning the game before the season, and when we picked last Friday, I thought you'd win it more comfortably. I thought you'd look better. Not necessarily that you would blow them out or anything like that, but I thought you would look better than you did on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, I echo Jamie almost 100% there. I expected 2-0, but I have not been impressed with what we have seen, especially last.
I was very impressed with week one. I was very impressed. Yeah. I mean, I fully well knowing that I don't think Murray State is great, anything like that. But there were things this Saturday that the question marks that we had. There were things this Saturday that have me more concerned than I was going into the game.
I think specifically you'd say offensive line and kicker. Is that what you'd say?
Sure.
Yeah. But then would you say that the defensive line and the linebackers have played better than what you thought going into the season?
Unfortunately, well, no, I don't want to say unfortunately. Yes, it would be my answer. I was going to say, unfortunately, you just can't take away too much from Murray State. No, but they played well against Houston. Yeah. I was very happy with the defense.
I thought they put pressure on Clayton Tune and harassed him back there. And I think anytime you don't give up, anytime until we've kind of done it a number of times, a Tech defense doesn't give up over 100 yards rushing against either what you would declare a dual threat quarterback or a team that has a pulse with a running game. I think you should feel good about that.
Sure.
Because I do feel like the defense played more than well enough to win the game.
Yeah, the defense is the reason you won that game.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah.
No question. And no question to what Chuck said also.
And there have been so many times when, the offense played more than well enough to win the game and the defense couldn't get a stop to save its soul.
Mm-hmm.
So script is flipped a little bit. And I think if you're better defensively than you are offensively, you win more games. But you would like to shore some things up along that offensive line and make your kicking game a little bit more solid. Feel a little bit more confident about it. Will you buy into some of that?
Definitely in the NFL, I agree that if you're better defensively than you are offensively, you're going to tend to win more games. College football might be a little bit different, but just because we've seen some
pretty explosive games, yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen some pretty bad offenses that are losing games, low-scoring games. But, yeah, I can't disagree with you. I just don't know that I'm 100% one way or the other on that one in college football.
Okay, that's fair. 7:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Jamie's question of the day is next. I do want to get to some Cowboys this morning. We will get to that. I do want to get to some more things from Coach McGuire, particularly the last drive of regulation, and get to that a little bit. But I will say this. You're 2-0. You play North Carolina State. Some would say you are where you're supposed to be. Maybe don't exactly like how you totally got there on Saturday. But again, I point this out as I did on Saturday night. It's a game under a lot of coaches previously that you would have lost this game. And they found a way to win. And credit to the players for making that happen on Saturday night.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
What you got there, Buttercup?
All right, Chuck. Today's question of the day involves Red Raider football. Not surprising. My question to you is, do you feel better or worse about the Red Raiders' chances of making a bowl game after Saturday's game?
Better, because I had this one as a loss. So I realize you've got things that you need to shore up with the offensive line, kicking game, but I think the defense's ability to put pressure on the quarterback and tackle clean, and the way that this team is pretty disciplined from a penalty standpoint, I feel better. Jeff?
Same. And I know that's not an option of what you're looking for, so I guess I would lean toward better, but not a lot better. I had you starting 2-0. You haven't hit the hard part of your schedule yet. The hard part of your schedule really starts this week for me, being on the road versus top 25 team, coming up against a Texas team that looked really good against Alabama in a loss. There's still a lot of meat left on your schedule that you have to take care of business for. I haven't seen enough to say go from 5 to 6 wins yet.
Okay. Well, I'm the one of the three of us that had the Red Raiders predicted to go to a bowl game before the season started.
Right.
And I'll tell you that I think I feel a little bit worse about the chances after Saturday. I had you at 2-0. But I know we can't do the whole, you see Houston not play great against UTSA, find a way to win, okay? And then I also look at UTSA barely winning against Army this weekend, which I don't think is a great college program, college football team. And then I see the Red Raiders, at times it felt like Tech should have put them away and could have won this game much easier. But then at times, ultimately by the end of it, we're like, wow, we escaped. Okay, because Houston should have beat you. Should have beat you because they were up 3 with however many seconds left when you get the ball and you found a way. I just, the worries and the concerns that I have with the offensive line and what that means for your quarterback and your running game, they were magnified. Now, I am holding out a little bit of hope, as I said to you earlier, that Houston legitimately is a really good defensive front, and they will be comparable of what you will see in the Big 12 Conference. But there's also part of me that says, if Houston's able to do that to your offensive line, what's the kind of talent that Texas or Oklahoma or Baylor and teams that some of those teams you've got to beat to get to 6-6. So I don't know. This was such a strange game where you could feel good about things, but then when you just look at how they played for the most part, you didn't take care of the football. You didn't block well at all, and just some special team gaffes. How many times have we seen over the years that special teams cost you a game, and it was really bad this weekend as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. I think I was crazy excited and yelling and screaming when Donovan ran it in for a touchdown on Saturday, and I'm excited about it and excited about what, winning the game and beating Houston, a team I really don't like. I'm excited about all that, but I think I was a little bit discouraged and just a little bit because, maybe Saturday was just you didn't play well. Maybe your offensive line's better than that. Maybe your quarterback is going to make better decisions than he made in that game. But there was a lot not to like also in that game.
Okay. What do you think? 7:34 this morning on the morning drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Morning Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. And it's presented by Happy State Bank. Coach McGuire did say with regard to the second half, can't turn it over. Obviously. He thought it was fun to hear the purge. Was disappointed that they couldn't get the third turnover. They felt like even with the 3 turnovers that Donovan had, if they got a third turnover, that they'd win the ball game. They ended up winning the ball game. They didn't need the third. They didn't need the third turnover. I do feel like that they can play better. He said, Coach McGuire did. He said he felt like the offensive line played well on the last drive. He did say, got to fix the O-line, got to get better at it, got to watch the tape. They want to see if they're getting the ball out on time. That's not all the problem with the offensive line, but they want to see what's going on with getting the ball snapped, and is it going out on what they would say on time.
Yeah, that's not really about the snap. That's about your quarterback looking for his first read, and is he getting the ball out quick, and or is he confused in what he's seeing? And because when the quarterback's at the line of scrimmage and he's surveying the defense, and he's saying hut 1, hut 2, hut 3. That was me being very simple there. Okay, he's looking at the defense and he's figuring my first option here is I wanted to do what. Okay, now after the ball is snapped, then he has to make the decision. Okay, did they take that away? Did they disguise what they were doing? And it threw me off. So I now need to look to secondary options. Okay, so is Donovan reading the defense like you want him to be able to do, and is then he figuring out what his number one option should be, and then the ball snapped to him, and he's going to that option, or is he confused at what he's seeing, and he's not making the right reads? That's a question that I can't answer, but I'm not smart enough to answer that. Okay, I'm just being honest. But at the same time, I will say that it felt to me like the pressure was coming way quicker than it needed to be. Well, it was numerous times coming from right up the middle where it felt like, and then the guy off the edge, zero off the edge, was just, that guy was fantastic.
Yeah, okay. And they knew that going into the game. They had cited him in 44 and 99.
Yeah, but it just didn't feel like he had time to really survey the defense and let a receiver get open down the field much at all.
He was asked about, was there at any point in time did they feel like that they were going to put in Baron Morton? And he said no. He said that at quarterback, sometimes when bad things happen, you want them to fight through it, and that's what we did today.
Yeah, and he made plays down the stretch.
Yeah.
Obviously the run, the pull down and run in the first play of the last drive of regulation was massive.
Yeah.
28-yard gain or whatever that was.
28 was right.
That's when you're like, oh, okay, you got a chance here. That was huge. That maybe was the biggest play of the game.
Might have been.
That was huge. So that was a big play. And then, the 4th and 20 play was fantastic as well. Because, again, immediate pressure. Immediately he's out of the pocket, rolling hard to his right. And it wasn't one of those rolls where it's like, okay, I'm moseying over there. He's going hard to his right. And Bradley cuts back, and Bradley did a great job of moving with his receiver to get in his passing and getting his vision. And Bradley did a terrific job as well. But that's a great play by Donovan there. Great play. So you can see The talent is there. You can see this young man, just like we always loved about Mahomes, could make plays when things break down. But, I mean, there were just some other decisions that were made by Donovan that, you scratched your head on. The last interception, I will say this, I would have liked to have seen Fungi compete for that ball. I mean, so the pass is a little bit underthrown, which we saw more than once on Saturday. Okay, and Loke just basically kept running and made it an easy interception for the receiver. Okay, you see that it's a little bit underthrown. Slow down and at least get your hands up there in battle so it's not an easy pick, which it ended up being. I just think the receiver on that play is obligated to kind of help his quarterback out. It was a bad pass. I'm not saying that's Fungi's fault, but at least become a defensive back at that point. And don't let him have an easy pick. Fungi just kept running, and it made it incredibly easy for the defensive back. I mean, throw your foot in the turf, stop, and reach up and compete for the ball. And that didn't happen. I would have liked to see him compete a little bit more on that play.
7:40 this morning on the morning drive. Brian notes that Morton did get in for one play. Right, it was
tight end.
Yeah, and they had a trick play set up there, and Donovan slipped, and they didn't get to do what they wanted to do there. But at any rate, at quarterback, he was not going to play.
Recapping yesterday while looking ahead to today's sports day. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Let's see here. Chuck, never been so happy for you to be so wrong. This from T-Money 806. Can anyone explain why OT2 they didn't flip possessions? I heard this, but I can't remember the explanation on.
Okay, so I think each time it's a choice, right? Mm-hmm. Houston won the toss. They chose to play offense first. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they got a choice. So the second one, overtime, it's now Texas Tech's choice. Am I right there?
Mm-hmm.
And so Texas Tech had their choice, and their choice was to play defense first.
Defense, yeah, I think you're right.
So each time the team gets a choice. It's not, the way I understand it, is not flipped from what happened in the first overtime. Mm-hmm. It's this team got a choice the first time. This team gets a choice the second time.
That's exactly right.
You have two different coaching staffs with conflicting styles.
Different philosophy.
Right, different philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good, well said. And that's why you saw it the same both times.
Yeah.
And I think it benefited the Red Raiders.
Absolutely. Because that was...
And when you don't get the choice of going first or second, you get the choice of which end zone you go into. So if you are the visiting team and don't get the choice and have to play defense first, you can choose to, or play offense first, depending on how the choice went, you can choose to go not into the student section.
Yeah, right. They wanted to do not to do that. Let's see here. I can explain this because somebody has a comment on getting into the game. The scanners that weren't working. Basically, it was a nationwide problem with people that had not downloaded their tickets. So if you didn't download your ticket to your phone until Saturday, there was a nationwide problem. So every stadium in the country had a problem with people downloading their tickets because of some kind of computer problem. And it wasn't just Texas Tech. It was the company that does this. And so if you had not downloaded your tickets until Saturday on your phone, like you get them in the email from the ticket office or whatever, so that was the problem. And I was told 10,000 people didn't do that here Saturday.
It's believable. I mean, I guess I would say even the people who are OCD and all that are not going to download it days in advance. Normally, I would assume, that morning, maybe they're like, oh, I'll get this ready for tonight or this afternoon, whatever.
And maybe they were non-season ticket holders because even low-tech Chuck here downloaded all of our season tickets into my phone.
So were they able to get in?
Yeah, I think they were eventually able to get in. It just was a problem It just slowed the line.
Yeah, that stinks. Yeah, for everyone involved.
Yeah, but I don't know that anybody missed the kickoff as a result of that. So I don't know. I just know that it wasn't a Texas Tech problem. It was a nationwide problem. Okay. 8:22 this morning here on the morning drive. I did want to get to this because I thought it was really important, with regard to the ball game. So Tech goes down 20-17, and you get the ball with 37 seconds left. Here's Coach Joey McGuire talking about that drive that sends the game into overtime with Trey Wolff culmination field goal.
Well, Kitley was fired up, so when Kitley's fired up, I'm usually excited. Our guys, man, I mean, that's why you play the game and you coach. You want to play in these games. I'll tell you what was really cool about, I'm going to skip back to defense really quick, but when I first got here, I started talking to the defense about, putting out fires. And when bad things happen, get up off the bench and get ready to go play because, spectators are on the bench. Football players are on the field. And they had that mentality. Rabbit kept saying that, like, hey, we get to go play. We get to go play. We get to go play. And so it was good. But I thought the offense, man, they're really good up front on defense. 0, 9, and 44 are really, really good players. And they had a really good scheme. I mean, we ended up giving up 6 sacks. And I thought we got the drive started, and then I thought the offensive line played well, getting us down there to get the field goal.
And really, so Houston, after the interception, gets the ball at the Texas Tech 21, and probably, Jamie, where they might have lost the game is throwing an incomplete pass on second down.
Yeah, and on a safe pass.
Yeah.
I mean, a little screen pass to the short side of the field, the Tech side. And a short, again, you want it to be safe because the last thing you want is an incompletion to stop the clock.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston fans got to be looking at that play right there and saying that cost us the game because that saved a bunch of time or a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and saved you time there. That was huge. That was massive, and I've always said that when you're trying to make like one of those last second long drives, the first play is so important because if it goes for short and you got to use a timeout or it goes for nothing or worst case, you get sacked or whatever, it just feels like, oh man, this is now an impossible task. But instead, on the first play, you get a 28-yard run and you get out of bounds by Donovan Smith. And that at that point, I mean, heading into the drive, I would have said Tech's chances were, at, 25% from getting it done. After that first play, I felt like it was 75%. And so to me, those two plays were just absolutely massive. in the culmination of regulation.
And so then you go deep to Loic Fangio for 11 yards, and then you get a pass to Bradley for 10 to the Houston 27, and then the kneel down. Basically, they put the ball where Trey Wolff wanted it. That's why Smith did what he did. It was a loss of 2 yards, and then Trey Wolff kicks the 47-yard field goal to tie the game and send you into overtime. So that sequence of plays there were really critical, just like in the first half, the stop, and then the touchdown going into halftime.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.